these qualifiers, there's 2 sets of wildcard qualifiers to fall back on. But at any rate, game number 2, I got to introduce him last time. I'll let you do it this time. So the bottom left, it's going to be the purple Protoss, Cloudy.
In the top right, as the green Protoss, it is SOS.
And that was from the pylons to the actual finish. Such an aggressive game. I was going to kind of start talking at some point about like, oh man, you know, PvP, it's better and more macro and we see cool things, but not when it comes to SOS. Never when it comes to SOS.
Well, actually, I brought this up when we were casting something else. The EU qualifier, I think.
I like how quickly you abandoned that. You're like, oh, well, we were casting something else.
So, like, because it wasn't the IEM-EU, it might have been the TING EU qualifier. The point is, we were casting a PvP, and I was like, it just doesn't seem as aggressive as the Koreans are showcasing. Like, the Koreans, it's not that they're stuck back when PvP was still, like, super hyper aggressive, like, adepts everywhere, you know, proxies everywhere. It's just that they're, like, apparently, I guess they're just so damn good. Like, that is the best way to play.
Yeah.
So, you know, while we see, like, the EU players actually get to fairly, like, mid-game games in PvP, and North Americans getting even late game, Korea seems to be a lot about just ending it early, even though in SOS's case, he, like, seriously, like, specifically said he wanted to end it early.
Yeah, he said, and I quote, "I want speed games." That was the English we got out of it, so I can't imagine that translates too differently. Now, we do have a Stargate coming down at him this time, so changing up the way he plans to win. I think a pretty big deal, though, for Cloudy was he scouted the full wall off with that probe, so when you get up to the top of this ramp, it really is only like 1 of 2 builds that you can do off the back end of this, and that's either with a Warp Prism or with a Stargate. Either way, his own Stargate will be a pretty nice response to both. However, it's in proxy, not defensive at home.
Well, it's going to be worse for SOS, I think. I don't know, if he gets a Phoenix first, I guess it won't be as bad, but his Mothership Core is going across the map, so he's not going to put an overcharge. He's only going to have 1 Stalker, because of course he got a Nexus. Okay, he does go for Phoenix.
Oh, you know what? I just realized, like, especially with that last game, SOS is like literally the definition of like a Berserker Protoss player. Like, who cares about defense? Just get across and do a lot of damage.
Dang. I mean, I guess it makes sense. You like the last game he'd go for a Stargate, so it's very possible he'll go again. He scouts the base, you know, checks the gas, sees the gateways.
He sees the lack of gateways, I think, is more important. Just the 2 gateways and no Nexus, no tech behind that mineral line. He's going to be very happy that he went for a Phoenix at home.
Yeah, all this does is confirm that the Phoenix was the right choice, though. Like, he's not like, oh my god, I gotta cancel an Oracle and build a Phoenix. Like, he was already building Phoenixes,
yeah,
so...
it just kind of reaffirms that he made the right choice.
It's silly how he's gonna... Not quite hard counter it, because it's not that many Phoenixes, but...
2 Phoenix 6 so long to get over. He actually gets about 5 probe, 6 probe kills. It actually wasn't too bad for the Oracle.
Yeah, that could have been 0 had he had them in the correct position, but...
Yeah, a little bit of guesswork trying to figure out what's going on.
Well, he sees it, and he's gonna make sure that nothing else pops out of that Stargate. Yeah, that's right. Put your Chronobu somewhere else.
Yeah, so back at home, I mean, it is worth noting, when the Mothership Core recalled, the Nexus came down. I actually don't think you saw the Nexus. So this is a little bit concerning for SOS, but I wouldn't say by much. He's already gotten the upper hand at the start of this game, and to boot, on top of that, like, he did put his own Nexus down. So, I don't know. I don't imagine SOS is playing scared, is kind of what I'm insinuating.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Actually, like, taking your Mothership Core out to do this is, like, I guess it's not dangerous, because they're not going to pump out their own Phoenix, knowing that your Phoenix count's already higher than theirs, but it just is pretty scary. This is your lifeline most of the time in matchups, and he's just being all willy-nilly with it, scouting with it, killing pylons with it, not having it in the main base.
Yeah. So, just a little bit of talk here while we wait for these Phoenix to maybe do something or not. There are a couple of walkovers on the bracket. I'm actually really sad that there would be any, but of course, if you guys are confused as to tell what is a walkover and what's not, on the challenge brackets, a 99 score does indicate a walkover. So if anyone in the lower bracket, for example, and this is why I bring this up early, decides to forfeit later on, you'll be able to tell who forfeited and who actually advanced. I do want to say, though, we did pick this best of 3, and this has been already, like, 1 game in, quick, simple. I already enjoyed this best of 3, but we picked this one, of course, because Hyun did, in fact, show up. I was a little worried he was going to forfeit because we didn't see him online earlier. but he is in-game versus an opponent as we speak, is the update. So that's good to hear. So sOs versus Hyun ideally would be our second cast of the day.
That's what it's looking like. I mean, just such control over the game. Actually, it's not only his control over the game, but the numbers are actually showing how well he's done. I mean, the Orb got 6 kills. That's 6 more kills than it could have got, but or should have got. But it's just it's still sOs in the lead in probes and army. I'll tear down this Stargate. I mean, it's probably not gonna be used again, but it will.
Yeah, might as well remove it from the map. Gives
Yeah.
vision at least, and I mean, you're just sitting at home with these units anyways. Not like you got to be worried about being out of position. I'd say that's a rather large factor actually of having sOs constantly scouting with his Phoenix in his opponent's base to know that he was safe to move out and do that. But Phoenix, knowing thing is, no matter how many stalkers you have, or even if you have Blink early on, these are fairly hard units to pick off.
Yes, they are. And Cloudy did get Blink and +1 on the way, but it's behind that of sOs's. sOs prioritizes his Immortals over Twilight Council.
Yeah, he's starting to push out. He's got +1 a little bit ahead of his opponent, but yeah, it starts turning around now. That immediate cancel, by the way, that was some microsecond control on that Phoenix.
That was pretty impressive. You know, killing the probe, so maybe it doesn't slap down a second or third pylon too quickly, and maybe the Phoenix will come back to help this little poke. I don't believe you saw these stalkers moving out, though, so this could be awkward for either one of them. The stalkers do not see the arm moving out.
I mean, okay, so they're both going for Zealot charge, but sOs prioritizes a few more Zealots early on. This is really interesting for me because they're not going to be able to get the damage done to the stalkers necessarily, but they provide that buffer so the Immortals can. Regardless, you're right, this could get a little bit awkward. Mothership Core has not got a lot of health from that early on pokey harassy.
Oh, he's not going to go in. He's actually trying to go home.
Ooh. A lot of these pylons going to get picked off. Mothership Core coming with the overcharge over the Phoenix, chase her off. Pylon goes down immediately because the Immortal damage is too freaking good. He does pop Barrier on one of the Immortals, and the Stalkers are almost home, but sOs is a pretty good fighting force. The Stalkers can blink past the Zealots and onto the Immortals, of course. The Phoenix is going to try and crowd control maybe 3 of these Stalkers at most, but of course that one Immortal, that Barrier being popped earlier, gets picked off immediately. And one Immortal doing damage is not that much. Second Immortal, Barrier still on cooldown. Backs away, but only into more blink Stalkers. But these Zealots got to swipe and kill a lot of the Stalkers while this was going on.
They got like a close round on like 4 of those stalkers. It's pretty impressive.
This Zealot attack, I did not foresee going so well. But Cloudy is down like almost 3 times the supply.
Yeah. Well, the Immortals, I mean, were always going to be pretty effective against the Blink Stalkers, but there's another one, actually.
That's a good pickup on the Sentry, too. No force field to get stuck on the ramp, no forcing the Blink down to the low ground, so you can still blink away. Phoenix come in and scoop up some of these units, but you know, there's actually not a lot in the air. He's just going to use the Zealots to surround them when they land. I'm loving this sort of play out of sOs. The Zealots charge do finish, so they're going to get a couple of hits here on these Stalkers. Decides to back away. Adepts are not a bad choice to deal with this. Mothership Core gets an overcharge. Looks like Cloudy's going to hold this spot for now. Both players are on 1-1, but sOs did start his level 2 upgrades while this was going on. And one of the really interesting things to me for this is sOs is playing really gas light in this. By making so many Zealots, he's got that money to make the upgrades.
Yeah. I mean, he also had that 3rd base up so quickly. Getting a 4th base now as well, and a Warp Prism for those more instant reinforcements. They've been walking across the map this entire time.
Yeah, GG. sOs will take the first best of 3 today. Congratulations.